Benjamin Spooner Briggs was not a superstitious man. If he knew anything of his new ship's troubled past, he said nothing of it. A practical, deeply religious New Englander, hushed stories of dying captains and bizarre accidents would have meant little to him. In 20 years of sailing, Briggs had heard it all: mermaids, sea monsters, the Flying Dutchman. To be sure, 19th-century sailors could dream up some dandies. They passed these stories amongst themselves like gossiping schoolgirls in ports around the world, myths born of equal parts boredom, genuine wonder at the might and vastness of the ocean, and a fear of drowning. An amazing number of sailors in those days could not swim. There certainly were peculiar things in the ocean, but Briggs had grown accustomed to life at sea. He was a confident, able sailor who felt he could handle anything. His fears were more solidly grounded in reality. Presently, Briggs was most concerned with how well his new command, a modest brigantine, would ride in the water after a major overhaul. He was right to worry, as he had invested a lot of money in her. No, superstition was clearly not in Captain Benjamin Briggs's nature, for if it were, he never would have set foot on board a sailing vessel. Not after the great number of tragedies his family had suffered at the mercy of the sea. In 30 years, Briggs had lost 2 brothers, his only sister, and an uncle to the ocean, all in separate incidents. The family had seen more than its share of hardship, even for the times. Just 2 years earlier, its patriarch, the respected Captain Nathan Briggs, had died in a fluke accident. Oddly enough, the most experienced sailor among them was the only one to die on dry land. The sea was so cruel to the Briggses that soon people around their hometown would begin to whisper of a curse on the family. But Benjamin Briggs knew all too well these misfortunes were just the way of the seafaring life. Still, on Saturday, October 19th, 1872, Briggs awoke to a morning he had been dreading for weeks, because it was time to go back to sea. That day he was scheduled to leave for New York, where he would supervise the loading of his new ship in preparation for a transatlantic voyage. In a few weeks, Briggs and his crew would set out on the first leg of a European trip that might eventually take them halfway around the world. He had not sailed with these men before, nor on board this ship, which was called the Mary Celeste. The dread that Briggs felt, however, had nothing to do with the trip, the crew, or the ship. He had just returned from his previous voyage, and simply hated to leave again so soon. He hated to say goodbye.